This is News Night, where we go above and beyond the headlines. I'm Pia Hontiveros. Our top stories: 14 children in the government's dengue immunization program died. Experts say 2 cases may be linked to Denvaksha. A viral video shows a member of the urban poor group Tadamay allegedly selling his unit to an outsider. The group, however, claims or comes clean and denies the allegations. And a look at the 3rd installment of the local fast food chain's Valentine's series commercials. That is Status. Denvaksha made a big impression as the world's first dengue vaccine, and the country quickly took it in, giving it to more than 800,000 children. But the excitement turned to anxiety when its maker, Sanofi Pasteur, reveals the possibility Denvaksha may cause severe illness for some of those who took it. Now medical experts looking into deaths supposedly related to Denvaksha have released their findings. Our Trisha Terada gives us the details.
Because of fears the Denvaksha issue has brought to the parents of its young recipients, experts from the University of the Philippines Philippine General Hospital have released its findings about 14 deaths initially linked to Denvaksha. Medical experts found that 3 out of the 14 children who died after receiving the dengue vaccine suffered dengue complications despite receiving Denvaksha. 2 of these could be attributed to vaccine failure. In one case, the vaccine may not have worked in the child whose results show he failed to develop antibodies despite receiving Denvaksha. The other one, who had prior dengue history, received Denvaksha yet remained vulnerable to a second mosquito bite. Still, experts say they need to examine tissue samples for a more thorough investigation. Based on their probe, one child died 4 days after receiving Denvaksha, prompting experts to say that the child might have had dengue even before he was injected with the vaccine. This then cannot be classified as a vaccine failure. Of the 14 cases, 3 had serious illnesses that were unrelated to Denvaksha. 6 children died within 30 days after being vaccinated, but these were not because of dengue. They have not found a strong link between the children's deaths and Denvaksha. 2 others could not be determined due to lack of information.
Pinagtibay nito ang naging desisyon ng departamento na ipatigil ang dengue immunization program dahil ang Denvaksha ay hindi dapat ipatupad sa ilalim ng isang mass immunization program na hindi sinusuri muna kung nagkaroon na ba ng dengue isang bata o kaya siya ay may ibang sakit.
Through these findings, medical experts are trying to allay fears of parents whose children received Denvaksha.
So yung ganun ang mindset ng mga bata, maling-mali na. Dahil may Denvaksha, mamamatay na sila. Doesn't mean na mamamatay na siya. Kasi magagamot naman ang dengue. We have to be very vigilant. We need to intervene early enough.
Prior to the study of UP-PGH experts, the Public Attorney's Office had claimed possible links of children's deaths to Denvaksha after their in-house autopsy team pointed out recurring patterns. But forensic pathologist Maria Cecilia Lim says a doctor cannot simply draw assumptions by merely opening and observing dead bodies. She says it takes a more complicated and tedious process to draw valid conclusions. This would entail a closer look at tissues through a microscope and a correlation of existing medical histories.
Not because you're a doctor doesn't mean you know how to perform an autopsy. Hindi po kayang matutunan ang autopsy sa pag-attend ng lecture o pag-attend ng workshop, maski na mag-attend ka ng workshop ng 1 taon.
This is why experts advise parents of children who died after receiving Denvaksha to have their children's bodies examined only by legitimate forensic pathologists.
For medical autopsies, which includes all these Denvaksha associated deaths or suspected deaths, must be performed by pathologists. Not all doctors are created equal. Autopsy is not a subject in med school.
Sana naman magtulungan tayo sa mga magulang na ang pag-autopsiya bukas ang isip nila doon dahil ito'y makakasagot ng maraming tanong. At sana ang papayagan nila mag-autopsy yung mga makakabigay ng buong report mula sa pagtingin hanggang sa DNA.
The Philippine Society of Pathologists are offering free autopsies for parents who suspect their children died after receiving Denvaksha. For now, experts call for calm and enjoin parents to be vigilant of signs of dengue like fever and other flu-like symptoms.
Because dengue from a patient who has Denvaksha or not will still be the same presentation. These are still the manifestations of dengue with or without Denvaksha.
When these symptoms are observed, parents are advised to give their children lots of fluids and immediately seek medical help. Trisha Terada, CNN Philippines.
Doctors are appealing to parents, don't skip your child's immunization for other diseases in the wake of the Dengvaxia controversy. Dr. Sally Gatchalian, Vice President of the Philippine Pediatric Society, says the Dengvaxia scare has resulted in a decline in the number of child immunizations for other diseases. These include the required vaccines for flu, measles, polio, and tuberculosis for infants and children.
Vaccination programs are one of the most cost-effective preventive health measure. In-state din po yun ng World Health Organization. And it is one of the greatest achievements in public health.
East Avenue Medical Center pediatrician Ramon Severino says while vaccines are not 100% effective, vaccinated children still have a higher chance of being protected from diseases.
Napatunay na namin nag-work tong vaccine na ito. Kaya tama si Dr. Sally, bakit natin hindi nadadama ang polio? Almost complete eradication ang polio eh. Bakit? Because of our compliance. And of course, our the health department knows well that it could really prevent, nabanggit ni Dr. Cabral, yung vaccine preventable disease. Ang iniwasan lang natin to the point where may magkasakit na bata, isa lang, pwedeng mag-outbreak yon.
Just this week, a video went viral on social media showing a member of an urban poor group, Kadamay, allegedly selling his unit to an outsider. The group, however, denies the allegations, saying it was a setup by the Duterte administration. Our Rex Remigio tells us why.
As we are about to enter the compound of Kadamay-occupied houses in Pandi, Bulacan, we notice security is tight, just like an exclusive subdivision. It took a while before the men at the checkpoint let us in. My cameraman walks around to take videos, with a Kadamay officer tailing him not far behind. The officer checks out the videos and even follows him inside the units. Their justification to prevent authorities from harassing them and to keep people from doing something that could malign them. Just like what happened in the video posted by the National Housing Authority, showing a Kadamay member allegedly selling his unit to an outsider.
Minsan narahas po kami ng mga, lalo po yung mga ng gobyerno na tinatakot, panggigipit po dito.
Kadamay members launch a protest to deny the allegations and say this was made up by the Duterte administration as part of a grand plan to evict them from their units in favor of soldier and police beneficiaries.
Sa kasalukuyan, wala man lang na itutulong ang gobyerno sa mga maralitang tulad namin, lalo na dito sa relokasyon.
The man in the video, Jerry Lavado, even resurfaces to deny that he is selling his unit. He claims he was simply helping out a neighbor who needed money for his son's hospital bills. That's why they pawned a nearby idle housing unit to a buyer named Leo Bautista, who has not been seen after giving the down payment. Lavado claims the NHA just framed him up through Bautista to make Kadamay look bad.
Hindi po namin alam na yung Leo Bautista na nagbigay sa amin ng pera, isa lang din pong pain. Na-prenup lang kami ng NHA.
Lavado apologizes for his actions. Kadamay chairperson Gloria Arellano says he will face disciplinary action. The palace meanwhile is now investigating the matter.
Hindi naman dapat pagkakitaan yung binigay na ng Presidente na para magkaroon ng katuparan yung karapatan namang ng pabahay sa ilang mga miyembro ng Kadamay.
Kadamay is appealing to the government to give jobs to their members to resist the temptation to pawn their state-provided houses. But if the Duterte administration forces them out of their homes, the group warns it will fight to the end. Rex Remigio, CNN, Philippines.
More local news later on the show, but first a check on the top stories from around the world. A van plows into pedestrians in a busy Shanghai street Friday morning. 18 people were injured, including the 40-year-old driver. Police said the man lost control of the vehicle and drove into the sidewalk after the van caught fire. The van knocked down several people, then hit a tree. Police added the driver was smoking and driving while carrying hazardous material illegally. The incident is under investigation. More than 900 miners have been rescued after they were trapped in a South African mine for at least 24 hours. This comes after a violent storm knocked out the electricity supply on Wednesday. Officials announced Friday morning that all miners have been freed from the gold mine located in the city of Tinesen. A spokesman for the managing company confirmed the miners are all accounted for and are safe. Still no relief in Cape Town, South Africa amid a water crisis. The city now implementing new emergency water restrictions because of a drought. Residents are being asked to cut the amount of municipal water they use each day to just 50 liters, or just a little over 13 gallons. That allotment is down significantly from 87 liters. Residents who ignore the restrictions face fines and installation of water management meters. The Energy Department says there is no need to raise fares even though fuel taxes have gone up. Instead, subsidies and discounts could be extended to jeepney drivers. And we give you a peek at the third installment of a local fast food chain's Valentine's series of commercials. Those stories next here in Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. Facebook Live, let's do a recap of the Kadamay story. That is an urban poor group that took over some housing units in Bulacan. Well, now what's happening is that the Kadamay is denying that they've been selling off housing units. The man in that viral video, what he claims is that he was trying to help someone else get money for his child's medication. Still, authorities investigating in Malacanang. The president's spokesman, Harry Roque, commenting on this, saying that what had been given by government should not have been sold. We have some reactions now to the Kadamay story. Susanita Tasiorna, hindi naman kasi sa inyo yan. And a comment on the Dengvaksha story, Cecil Sacopla, saying children are not guinea pigs. Now I know why my mother strongly reminded us when we were kids not to let any health worker give us anything like this. And we'd like to say hello to some people watching us now. Rod Dizon in South Korea, E.A. De La Cruz in Kuwait, Stephen Mitchell, Bernardo Mercado. Thank you for being with us. Tell us what you think of our stories. Comment down below or tweet us, tag us at CNN Philippines. This is Newsnight on CNN Philippines. Friday evening rush hour will bring more vehicles onto the roads. First, let's check EDSA Guadalupe. If you're northbound, vehicles on the right side are barely moving. Traffic is heavy to a standstill all the way to Mandaluyong and Pasig. For southbound motorists, all lanes are also bumper to bumper on the left. Bring more patience going to Hilpuyat and Ayala Avenues in Makati. Move to Villamor northbound at grade on the S-Legs. If you're heading back to EDSA, Makati, Manila, expect a slow drive as well. Traffic is heavy all the way until the exits. The Energy Department says there is no need to raise fares even though fuel taxes have gone up. Subsidies and discounts could be extended to PUV drivers instead. Claire Yao has that story.
It's 5 p.m. and jeepney driver BJ Oro is still working. He began plying his route at dawn. But he says he can't stop until late at night. Gas prices have gone up, and he needs to make extra money just to afford it.
Dati, nagkukrudo lang kami, 500, ngayon 700 na kaya.
The Department of Energy says there's no need to raise transport fares just yet. Instead, it wants to extend subsidies and discounts to public utility vehicle drivers. A Pantawid Pasada program, similar to the one in 2014, is in the works. The Budget and Finance departments are leading preparations, and the interagency group wants to release cash transfers by March. The government is also seeking the help of oil companies, giving discounts to PUV drivers.
So far, 4 of the biggest oil companies have agreed to help us with the CSR program. The target really is to maintain a 50 centavo to 1 peso discount for PUV, PUJ drivers. We're really pushing for more than 50% sana. Right now, we have about 6,800 retail outlets. The target of the Secretary is to have a CSR program in at least 4,000.
Authorities are monitoring oil companies to make sure they're imposing fuel taxes properly. Show cause orders were served on 20 gas stations that raised their prices ahead of schedule. Investigations showed, however, they just used up their old fuel stocks early.
Ang inabangan po natin yun kung nakapag-implement kaagad ang retail earlier date nung merong excise tax. Kasi mali yun. Dapat kung ganun yun, nasa old inventory pa yun.
The Energy Department required all companies to submit their inventories and withdrawal reports in the run-up to train. It estimates that with strict monitoring, they saved the public 2.7 billion pesos in taxes that could have been wrongly imposed on fuel products. Claire Yao, CNN Philippines.
Securities and Exchange Commissioner Blas James Viterbo has resigned. SEC spokesman Armando Pan confirms Viterbo tendered his resignation because of health concerns. His resignation takes effect upon acceptance by President Duterte. Globe is taking action on unknown prepaid credit deductions among customers. The telco giant says it is enforcing tighter rules against unfair practices by some of its third-party service providers, resulting in deductions. Customers commonly refer to it as naka or kain load. These happen when customers click on online advertisement links or buttons of service providers. As a rule, Globe says customers should get a verification code via text with options, as well as another text message for successful subscription and cancellation instructions. Globe is encouraging customers to report unauthorized credit deductions so these can be investigated and addressed. Tech news now. The Japanese video game company Nintendo has announced an animated film starring Super Mario is in the works. It'll partner with an American film studio for the project. CNN's Cherise Palm tells us more.
Super Mario is coming back to the big screen. Nintendo announcing an animated movie starring its lovable plumber is in the works. Nintendo's teamed up with Illumination on the project.
Holy moly!
That's the U.S. company behind the Despicable Me and the Minions movie. So it's got a good track record of turning pudgy cartoon characters into box office gold. Oh yeah! Mario is a reliable money-making franchise for Nintendo. He was the go-to guy for Nintendo's launch into mobile gaming. The Super Mario games are the top-selling titles for Nintendo's popular Switch console. He even stole the show at the Rio Olympics closing ceremony. But Mario's previous run in Hollywood was a disaster. Critics panned the live-action movie, and it has a 15% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. This time around, a Super Mario film will be tapping into Hollywood's appetite for reliable franchises like Harry Potter and Star Wars. Fans will have to wait for more details, though. Nintendo and Illumination staying mum for now on a release date. Cherise Pham, CNN, Hong Kong.
Still ahead, a
Super Mario
CNN
is coming.
special report on China's research on Benham Rise. Experts explain how data from the study will benefit the international community. And this one's for pop star, singer Sarah Geronimo, hitting the concert stage once again. Details next year in Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. Welcome back. Local and international scientists are interested in studying Benham Rise beyond its rich biodiversity. The undersea region is a goldmine of data. Experts say the Chinese have been doing research in that area, but outside Philippine territory since the 1980s. In part two of our senior correspondent Ruth Cabal's report, experts explain why the Chinese research on Benham Rise may just take up to 6 days. Data from it will benefit the international community in the long term.
Benham Rise, renamed as Philippine Rise, has the body of water east of Luzon near Isabela and Aurora. The UP Marine Science Institute explains the so-called Kurusho current that passes through Benham Rise. This current transports heat from east of the Philippines towards Japan. The UPMSI says studying the Kurusho Current will give an idea about El Nino and La Nina cycles not just in the country, but in the Pacific. The current could also affect productivity of fish and other marine life. But the UPMSI notes studying the Kurusho and other marine-related properties is complex and requires extensive resources, which at present the Philippines does not have. Here's where the Chinese come in.
Most of Benham rice, the 24 million, is in 3-kilometer deep water. And we don't even have a ship that can lower an instrument 3 kilometers pababa. Yung capabilities ng ship nila talagang mas advanced, mas designed for deep sea work. But some of the work na ginagawa nila, some of the measurements, kaya namang gawin natin.
In 2016, the Philippines, Japan, South Korea, and the U.S. joined the Chinese-led North Pacific Ocean Circulation Experiment. The UPMSI, which is part of a technical working group at the Foreign Affairs Department, recommended the approval of China's research because that activity is part of the international collaboration.
They use what is called a CTD, an instrument with sensors to measure temperature, salinity, pressure, ganun. Nilo-lower lang yun. In 3 locations just off Isabela, mag-iiwan sila ng instrument doon to measure the flow.
The UPMSI says the Chinese met government conditions. At least 4 Filipinos are on board its research vessel.
It's a standard practice yan sa once na nag-apply sila ng MSR sa atin, they provide all the data na kinolect. Malinaw naman doon sa kanilang proposal na sinabit sa DFA kung ano gagawin nila. The National Coast Watch Center can actually monitor the position of the ship.
Political analyst Clarita Carlos has no problem with China's research on Benham rice, but is calling for transparency. She adds there should be implementing rules and regulations on how China should conduct its research and handle potential problems, such as accidents or oil spill.
Let us move away from the usual configuration. We're talking about sovereignty and territory. We'll all be dead and there will be no resolution. Let us talk of a fisheries agreement. After all, we have the coach called the ASEAN Regional Integration.
Government critics are raising security and sovereignty concerns, citing China's previous expansion activities in the West Philippine Sea. But presidential spokesman Harry Roque assures China recognizes the country's sovereign rights over Benham rights. For the head of the Fisheries Bureau, a former Coast Guard commander, territorial issues should be set aside for now.
Habang hindi tayo capable na talagang maisabi natin, shout to the whole world that is ours, no? Magsimula po tayo doon sa food security natin that will develop income employment. Hindi pwedeng nauna muna yung panggera, di ba? Okay. That's our strategy for the meantime.
The UPMSI is calling on the government to draw up a long-term program for Benham rice to include more funds, ships, equipment, and other research support. Ruth Cabal, CNN Philippines.
A U.S.-based think tank proposes the creation of a code of conduct among claimant countries on fisheries and environmental cooperation in the South China Sea. Experts say there is a decline in catch rates in the area by up to 75% in the past 2 decades. They add the marine ecosystem is now in danger of collapse unless claimants act urgently to stop the decline. Asia Maritime Transparency Initiative Director Greg Poling says claimant countries should create maps to identify maritime sanctuaries and patrolling activities. Poling argues the approach will not weaken the Philippines' claim over its declared exclusive economic zones.
The fish don't care where the political boundaries are between EEZs. They're going to move from one to the other, and so states are not just asked to, they are obligated to cooperate with each other on managing those fish stocks. We argue about sovereignty for the next 20 years, and then there won't be any fish left.
Now in entertainment, singer Justin Timberlake is excited to perform at the Super Bowl halftime show. Sporting a flannel shirt on Thursday, Timberlake talked about bringing his sexy back on Super Bowl. The last time he performed at the halftime show was in 2004 with Janet Jackson. During a press conference, he was quick to shut down questions of a Janet Jackson or NSYNC appearance. But the 37-year-old performer promises one thing.
Without giving too much away, we're doing a few things with this halftime show that they've never quite done before.
Okay.
So I'm excited to do that. I always like to, to push to be able to do something like that.
Super Bowl 52 happens on Sunday, February 4th at the U.S. Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. A trio of awards for a coming-of-age drama and a sneak peek at a horror comedy. CNN's Rick Damigella has it all in the Hollywood Minute.
So what do you do around here?
Read books, transcribe music, swim at the river, go out at night.
Sounds fun.
Award season news, Call Me By Your Name has won a trio of Dorian Awards. The coming-of-age drama won the Dorian's Film of the Year award, while co-star Timothée Chalamet received a pair of honors, Film Performance of the Year by an Actor and the Rising Star Award. The Dorians are voted on by the Society of LGBTQ Entertainment Critics. Octavia Spencer has joined the cast of Ma. The psychological thriller is helmed by Tate Taylor, who directed Spencer's Oscar-winning performance in The Help. Production begins next week in Mississippi. Spencer posted on her Instagram account that while she is on location there, she is thinking about buying out screenings of Black Panther and giving away the tickets to members of an underserved community.
Max is very competitive, as am I. It's one of the reasons I fell in love with him.
Here's a sneak peek at the upcoming action comedy Game Night. The movie stars Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams as a couple whose weekly game night with friends turns into an actual murder mystery. It's Game On for Game Night on February 23rd. In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
Here's something for the pop stars out there. Singer Sarah Geronimo is taking on Manila's concert stage once again. On Instagram, Viva Artists Agency says the pop star royalty is holding a concert on April 14th at the Big Dome in Quezon City. It's entitled Sarah Geronimo, This Is Me. That's to celebrate her 15 years in the entertainment industry. Tickets will go on sale February 15th. Get ready for an inspirational weekend. The creator of hit online blog Humans of New York is in the country. Brandon Stanton is holding back-to-back talks in Manila to tell the story behind his viral blog. The talks will be held tomorrow morning at the Cine Adarna in the University of the Philippines, Diliman. Entrance is free for the first 800 attendees for each show. Humans of New York is a photography blog that originally featured portraits of New Yorkers. The caption also talked about their encounters with Stanton. In 2010, it evolved and featured people from over 20 countries. And before we go, we take a peek at the last installment of the Kwentong Jollibee Valentine's series. It's entitled Status. The over 3-minute clip is directed by Yanko de la Cruz. It tells the story of finding true love in the right place, that is family. Take a look.
I finally found true love. Sa pamilya ko. Sa sarili ko. So when the right one does come along, I now know the kind of love I truly deserve.
Over an hour since its release on Facebook, the video has gained over 200,000 views and has been shared more than 13,000 times. And that's it for tonight. Thank you for your time. I'm Pia Hontiveros. See you again on Monday for News Night, where we go above and beyond the headlines.